Hello. Welcome to today's Decay. We're celebrating births and beginnings of everything important since the dawn of time. I'm late today, I know, but I still made it. We made it, kid. On this day, in May 26th, here are all the dates. They're really right. Robert W. Chambers, born on this day, 1865. Author of many melodramatic secretary novels. Is that what it's called? It's the wrong term. Anyway, most of what he wrote is not noteworthy, is my point. It's dated, and if it had an audience, and it probably did at the time, in the Victorian and Edwardian era, truly. He's only really known for The King in Yellow, which here's a original 1895 copy. And I love this book so much. Not the whole thing, mind you, but all the King in Yellow mythos connected to this from what he did is really phenomenal. Along with Arthur Machen in The Great God Pan, and William Hope Hodgson content of all sorts. There's like a whole series of pre-H.P. Lovecraft writers out there that were doing better work, more interesting work. Clearly not as substantial. I mean, Lovecraft just wrote and wrote and wrote, but the stuff that Chambers and Machen wrote is really good and really striking, and they're exploring the same type of concepts. I guess what I really like to know, and yet I don't want to read a 600-page Lovecraft book, like one of those Joshi ones or something. When in Lovecraft's life did he actually read these guys? Was he at the Athenaeum? Athenaeum. In 1920, and like a good deal of like his concepts were inspired by their writings? Or was it really like 1932 where he's like, already written quite a lot, and this is more just backing up his concepts, and that's why it winds up in that horror and literature extended essay he wrote? I don't know. But I'd like to know, because I feel I don't see how you have Cthulhu mythos type stuff, or any Lovecraft's mythos, without these founding fathers. Or maybe it would have happened anyway. We never know. No. Anyway, it's really good. For those that haven't read it, that True Detective Season 1 was almost a piece of brilliance up until that last episode, where it just all fell apart in a terrible way. But before that, this could have been like, as if they were instead, not doing Lovecraft, but doing Chambers with The King in Yellow, where it's this play that's a written down book, and people have heard of it, and somehow or another this book winds up making its way like into people's hands, and they start reading it, and it begins to like mentally unravel them about like this city called Carcosa, and black stars over the skies of Carcosa, and this pallid masked creature, and like it's so simple and yet so sinister, and implies so much malice with like almost nothing in it, that it is just brilliant. Like where Lovecraft is like, giant monsters and fish people and all sorts. There's really nothing like that. It's just like you suddenly realize that the person you think you're talking to is like completely mad, and all reality might just be this very thin veil. It's just really good. And beyond that is like not answered. In a similar way to what I was talking about yesterday about Val Lewton, like leave the unknown is much more scary than like the well documented. I guess in most cases, maybe not always. Anyway, moving right along. Novel Dracula was published today in 1897. That's pretty colossal. I brought out a couple of books to highlight the day. Here we've got, this is a repro dust jacket, but here is the, 1927 Copy of Dracula. This was a promotional tie-in to the Broadway play that wound up, but it is like the Bram Stoker source material. I love this artwork, right? Yeah, that's a repro jacket, but as you can see, it is a original 1927 copy. Right, so Lugosi would have gotten this role, and it would have made him very popular, but he wasn't yet like synonymous with the role. So he's not featured anywhere on here. It's just Dracula. Then 1930, here's the Sundial Library edition, which I just think is such a cool cover. Right? You can see that. There's got to be a better way of me showing this than trying to just not get light shines. But anyway, I dig that artwork. Then in 1931, Universal Pictures does Dracula, starring Lugosi, and here is a original 1931 photoplay edition. Also, I love this artwork. Here he is featured on the back. Still, it's the Bram Stoker novel. It's not like a, adaptation of the film. Don't remember there being stills of him in here, just on that back sleeve. Anyway, beautiful, delicate. I need to stop touching it because it's falling apart. What else? Also on this day, I'm not done yet. Last, but certainly not least of this run through, here is the Hammer Films, Christopher Lee, Peter Cushing novel of Dracula. Because part of this was, you see, at the time, these movies played in the movie theater, maybe not in the 50s, but in the 20s and 30s, they played the movie theater for like sometimes only a couple of days. Movies were made over months and didn't have runs like they do today or like before COVID, where they could spend weeks, if not months, in a movie theater. In the teens, 20s, 30s, you could see something in a movie theater for literally 2 or 3 days, and that's it. So if you love the story, what are you going to do? You can't rent it. There's no repertory houses yet. Like indie art house type stuff doesn't really happen until the 60s. So the best thing you can do is buy the book, the movie tie-in, to like see stills of the movie interspersed throughout it and revisit it in your mind. That's how it worked. Yeah. Speaking of Dracula, on this day, 1913, Peter Cushing was born. Van Helsing himself for the Hammer horror films, and plenty more. Mick Ronson of David Bowie's band, born this day, 1946. Some of my favorite David Bowie stuff for sure. The Twilight Zone episode, Will the Real Martian Please Stand Up? Premiered this day, 1961. Is this my favorite Twilight Zone episode? No, but I really like it anyway. I think my favorite one, because I'm a real bummer, is That Said Revisited. Yeah. And on this day, 1972, the EC Fanatic Convention began, which is super cool. To be a fly on the wall. These were like, super fans, of which I would count myself as one, who all collected themselves in 72 here in New York City to celebrate EC Comics at a time where this stuff was 15 years gone, right? No, like 20 years gone. 15 and 20 years gone. Whatever the math is. Definitely gone. But almost all the original artists and writers were, and like the publisher was like, are all still there and available. And so you had like kids of all ages coming, and yeah, I would love to have attended this. It's nice to know what happened here, but not at this time. There you go, the whole day. Today's Decay, from me to you. Things to celebrate and enjoy. Till tomorrow. Goodbye.